Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Extra Gents Scents. So today I was poking around the internet, as you do. I was on scentsplit.com thinking about picking up this thing or that thing, trying to do what I say you should do, trying to practice what I preach here. Because all the time, me and other people will tell you, you should sample before you buy something. Do we always do that? No, of course not. Blind buying is just too much fun. But sometimes it is good to actually do that and sample something first to see if you like it or not before dropping a bunch of money on it. So I was thinking about doing that. And as I was looking through, I thought to myself, well, I wonder what the best sellers are right now. Like, what are you guys actively out there sampling before you buy? And that's what we're going to talk about here today. The 10 fragrances that you are actually sampling before you pick them up. I'll have each of these linked in the description down below, and also I'll link to ScentSplit as well. They're the store that I'll typically use myself if I'm looking to sample or buy a little travel spray. And actually, I did use ScentSplit to find a few fragrances that I did very much enjoy and then I did buy, and vice versa. I used them to try out some fragrances that I ended up not really liking and save my money on. Let's see what you guys are checking out yourselves. We've got the website pulled up right here, so let's see. And also, it goes without saying, but this top 10, I'm assuming, would change over time as people buy different things. But as of when I'm filming, this is what it is. Now, we're going to start with number 10, but I do want to give a special shout out to number 11, so kind of an honorable mention here. La Nuit de l'Homme from Yves Saint Laurent is number 11. I am not exactly sure what to think about that. It's good that people are sampling La Nuit de l'Homme. That's great, but it's been around for a minute, and you can pretty easily find that one, Sephora or Ulta or literally just about anywhere that carries fragrances. I just bring it up because I think it's very interesting to see that La Nuit de l'Homme is still so popular that it is nearly in the top 10 of what is essentially a website where you should sample niche and indie fragrances or harder to find fragrances. But La Nuit de l'Homme, it'll be here forever, which is fine. It deserves it. It's a good release, man. Okay, number 10, Santal 33 from Le Labo. And this one makes sense. I mean, Santal 33 is the most popular fragrance from Le Labo. It's been branded a little bit of a hipster fragrance to an extent, like the fragrance of New York City, I think it was called for quite a while. It's an interesting one. Some people get this kind of pickle scent profile from it. So when they spray it on, they just like hone in on pickles and they think, I smell like a dill pickle. Other people are like, nah, man, I don't get that at all. I get this great woody fragrance, extremely versatile, people pleasing, everyone loves it. And for those reasons, actually, I think it is a good idea to sample Santal 33, because what if you fall over onto Team Pickle? So yeah, sampling Santal 33, I think that's a safe move, a smart move. And Le Labo is not really affordable anyway, so it's doubly intelligent. Number 9 is from Tom Ford, and it is effing fabulous. Seeing a Tom Ford on here makes sense. Again, Tom Ford fragrances are expensive. Even if you're just talking the signature line of fragrances, Tom Ford fragrances are pricey. And the private blend line is even more pricey than that. Some leather, almond, and tonka, some of the notes in the fragrance. And as I said, very expensive. And if you're like me and you live in a non-metropolitan part of the United States, there may not be anywhere nearby for you to smell Tom Ford fragrances, especially the private blend fragrances. And so this is another one that makes a lot of sense where people would be sampling it first. I mean, the name is obviously attention grabbing. They did that intentionally and it works. People want to see what the fuss is about, want to see if it's still worth picking this one up. And it's interesting because it feels like just yesterday that this fragrance was released, but it came out over half a decade ago. Pretty wild how fast time goes. Number 8, Amouage Reflection Man. Another one that makes sense. Amouage has had a number of fragrances that have caught different amounts of hype, different amounts of love, but Reflection does seem to be the one that's held on to that hype for the longest time. And that's because as far as Amouage releases go, Reflection is probably the easiest one to wear for the highest number of people. For a time, it was compared to Jean Paul Gaultier's Labo, basically called a higher end, less powdery, niche quality take on Labo. I don't think if you wear them side by side that they're super similar, but you could wear it in a lot of the same situations, and it does have just as much of a complement factor as the Jean Paul Gaultier does. So reflection, yes, that makes sense. And reflection is one that I think is, at least from the ones that we've talked about so far, number 9 and number 10, probably the safest blind buy of the niche fragrances so far. After that one, Molecule 01 from Escentric Molecules. This is one where I kind of go back and forth on a little bit, like, is it necessary to sample this one? Yes and no. No, because the fragrance itself is pretty simplistic. I mean, anybody out there who has smelled Molecule 01 knows that. And that's not a knock on the fragrance. It's supposed to be. It's focusing on just one aroma chemical. Iso Gamma Super is what you're going to be getting here. And yeah, I mean, there's not much else to it. So for some people, they will spray Molecule 01 on and they won't smell anything. They'll be like, this is nothing. I sprayed water on myself. Other people get a very pleasant, light, kind of second skin cedar scent profile. And that's how it comes across to me. It lingers for a long time, but it is very light, kind of floating around you. And a lot of people will use it to layer with other fragrances to either help improve the performance of the fragrance that they're layering it with, or to give it an additional kind of woody undertone to it. So yes, it does make sense to sample it to see if it would work for you, if it's worthwhile. But I don't know that I would put it on like my top 10, personal list of you must sample these. Number 6, Oud Wood, Tom Ford. And it is not the last Tom Ford on this list. Tom Ford is getting sampled. Oud Wood, yeah, this is one where I feel like you need to know it. You need to know that scent profile, see if it works for you. I think it's amazing. It's a very wearable oud fragrance, very approachable, top-notch, super classy. Oud Wood, yeah, I got no qualms with that. After that, Herod from Parfums de Marly. So Herod is Parfums de Marly's tobacco fragrance, and some people, especially when it first kind of broke and got more attention, compared it to Tobacco Vanille a little bit from Tom Ford. When you wear them side by side, you can see a lot of differences between Herod and Tobacco Vanille, but it is one of those situations where I would say if you like one of those, you'll probably like the other one also. Wonderful for fall and winter time. Another one with good performance, good wearability. It always does surprise me to see just how popular Herod is, because for whatever reason in my mind, I feel like Herod is like an underrated fragrance or something, that it flies under the radar. I don't know why I think that way sometimes, because it's proven to be incorrect. I mean, you go into Fragrantica, Herod gets all kinds of praise. You can see right here, one of the best sellers on Scent Split. So Herod, extremely popular, and it deserves it. I mean, I love tobacco fragrances, and it's a darn good one. Number 4, Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. So I just said, if you like Herod, you should like Tobacco Vanille. Oh, here's Tobacco Vanille. And Tobacco Vanille apparently crushing Tuscan Leather, at least on Scent Split, because Tobacco Vanille is the number 4 bestseller, and Tuscan Leather is not on the page anywhere. Rough. So Tobacco Vanille is obviously a tobacco vanilla fragrance. It has a lot of fruits in there. It's sweeter than Herod is. And another one that just stands out during the cooler months. Top 3 now. Number 3, Layton, Parfums de Marly. Now, if you have not cheated and gone and looked at what the bestsellers are, use your thinking caps. What is number 2? What is number 1? If Layton is number 3, what 2 fragrances beat Layton out? This is a little bit of a surprise to me. I would expect Layton to be in the top 2, but I mean, top 3 is not really that much further down. So Layton is Parfums de Marly's most popular fragrance, one of the most popular niche fragrances on the market, period, nowadays. And that is because it is just so usable. During the cooler months, Layton is that type of scent that is like a secret weapon. You bust that out, you spray it on when you want people to take notice of you, when you want that attention, when you want those compliments. That's Layton, that's what it's for. It's a favorite of mine. I mean, yes, it's super popular, so you might think, if I'm going niche, then I want to go something that's a little more under the radar than Layton. but I can't take anything away from it. The stuff works so well. Number 2, Aventus. That's right, Creed Aventus. That means the number 1 fragrance sells more, at least as of this video, than Layton and Aventus. So Aventus, of course, Creed's heavy hitter, the fragrance that was crowned the king of men's fragrances for a while there. Untold numbers of imitators, clones, and inspired by fragrances that smell similar to Creed's Aventus are out there. We're talking indie fragrances, niche fragrances from clone houses as well, and designer fragrances that smell like or similar to Aventus. Yeah, it's a banger. So Aventus number 2. The number 1 though, Oud for Greatness. Yeah, by Initio Parfums. Oud for Greatness. So if I were to write out blindly, like without looking at anything, what I thought the top 10 would be, Oud for Greatness might have snuck in there, but it would have been around like number 10 or 9 or something. But there it is, Oud for Greatness, number 1. It is a really popular scent, and you can actually see this one kind of that style being put into other fragrances out there. And that's what happens when you have a very popular niche fragrance. You'll start to have other ones come out that smell a little bit similar, but with a twist, you know, doing their own thing on the Oud for Greatness style. And some people would say that Oud for Greatness is doing its own style of a BR 540 scent. So it just comes full circle. It is a scent with great performance, and it's another one that would make a really nice jumping off point into oud fragrances if you've never experienced them. But it's one of those circumstances where it is so expensive that sampling first is the right move. So there we go, guys. Those are the 10 fragrances that you are buying right now. Maybe not you specifically, but in general on ScentSplit.com are the most purchased decants and samples. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me here, and do keep that in mind. You know, if you're making a very expensive purchase, maybe sample it first just to be safe. Stay safe out there, guys. I will see you again another day with another video. See you later.